سلام، من مهدی نوری هستم و توی این ویدیو با هم میخوایم بریم سراغ قسمت دوم از درس سوم کتاب American Headway سطح دوم. توی درس قبلی با هم دیگه خیلی راجع به past continuous یعنی گذشته استمراری صحبت کردیم. حالا توی این درس بریم اول تفاوت این جمله ها رو با هم دیگه بررسی کنیم. دو تا جمله اول رو بخونید. When we arrived, she was making some coffee. When we arrived, she made some coffee. What's the difference between these two sentences? The first one says, when we arrived, she was in the middle of making coffee. She wasn't finished. The coffee was not ready. وقتی ما رسیدیم اون داشت قهوه درست میکرد. یعنی وسطهای قهوه درست کردنش بوده. قهوه آماده نبوده و ما اون قهوه درست کردن رو دیدیم. When we arrived, she made some coffee. It means first we arrived and then she made some coffee. همیشه وقتی از گذشته ساده استفاده میکنید و چند تا جمله و اتفاق رو با گذشته ساده پشت هم میگید، به این معنی هستش که یکی بعد از دیگری اتفاق افتاده. وقتی ما رسیدیم، اون قهوه درست کرد. یعنی اول ما رسیدیم، بعد اون قهوه درست کرد. در صورتی که جمله بالا میگه اون وسطای قهوه درست کردنش بود که ما رسیدیم. I read a good book in bed last night. I was reading a good book in bed last night. Now, what's the difference between these two sentences? The first one says that an action was completed. اولی داره میگه که یه فعالیتی کامل شده بوده، انجام شده بوده. من دیشب توی تختم یه کتاب خوندم. But the second one, I was reading a good book in bed last night and it was not finished. داره میگه که من دیشب داشتم یه کتاب توی تختم میخوندم و این ایده رو به ما میده که کتاب خوندن تموم نشده. Probably after that it's like and I fell asleep. من داشتم کتاب میخوندم که خوابم رفت. Knowing all these, I want you to do exercise 5. Choose the correct verb form.
Number 1. I saw a good movie yesterday. 2. While I was shopping this morning, I lost my wallet. 3. The police stopped me on the freeway because I was driving at 90 miles per hour. 4. What were you doing when you saw the accident? I was walking down the street. 5. What did you do when you saw the accident? I called the police. Now, number 4 and number 5 are very important. Same sentence, one of them past continuous, the other one past simple. If we say, what were you doing when you saw the accident, means at the time of the accident, exactly when the accident was happening, what were you doing? If we say, what did you do when the accident happened, means what did you do after you saw the accident? 6. How did you break your leg? I was skiing and I hit a tree. 7. I cut my finger while I was cooking. 8. Did you have a good vacation?
Now try making sentences with these time expressions. For example, at 7:15 this morning. Ask yourself, what were you doing at 7:15 this morning? At 7:15 this morning, I was sleeping. What about you? What were you doing?
I was also sleeping at 7:15.
What were you doing at 1 p.m. yesterday?
I was having lunch with my friends. How about you?
I was teaching. talking about the news. Here we have got 3 newspaper headlines. اینجا ما 3 تا headline یا 3 تا عنوان از روزنامه داریم. What do you think these stories are about? Texting woman falls into fountain. Chinese Waze sells for $69 million. The app that saved an iPad. What do you think these stories are about? شما فکر میکنید که این هدلاین ها و این داستان ها درباره چی هن؟ If you have any ideas, you can comment them for us. هر ایده‌ای که دارید میتونید اونا رو برای ما کامنت کنید. Now, here are the stories, the real stories. I want you to read them and write a summary of them for us. ازتون میخوام که این داستانا رو بخونید و یه خلاصه از هر کدوم برای ما کامنت کنید. Try to use past continuous and simple past. سعی کنید از گرامر جدیدی که خوندیم یعنی گذشته استمراری و گذشته ساده حتما استفاده کنید. Listening and speaking the news. بریم میخوایم با هم دیگه درباره اخبار صحبت کنیم. How do you keep up to date with what's happening in the world? Do you check your Instagram? Do you check Twitter? Do you watch the news on TV? Do you read a newspaper? Which of these news topics interests you most? کدوم یکی از این عنوانهای خبری از همه بیشتر براتون جالبه؟ Politics, celebrities, sports, fashion, culture, فرهنگ, the arts, crime, international news, national news, local news. Which one of these are more interesting for you? For me, fashion, celebrities, and national news. What about you?
Well, I would like to follow local news and international news actually.
Now we're gonna listen to 5 radio news headlines. But before doing the listening, we want to check some vocabulary here. A strike. When some people, imagine like all the bus drivers of a city, stop working because they want more money. بهش میگیم اعتصاب. وقتی که مثلا تمام راننده های اتوبوس با هم تصمیم میگیرن که کار نکنن چون حقوق بیشتری میخوان. Strike. An explosion. When a bomb explodes. A crime. Like stealing, theft, mugging and things like that. جرم. A hockey game and a death. What is the first story about? What about the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth? Let's listen and match the topics with the news headlines.
Track 39. The news.
Here are the news headlines. A gas leak in New York kills 8 people. Thieves steal paintings worth $80 million from a museum. A national strike in France brings the country to a stop. The 71-year-old actor James Robertson dies at his home in California. And in ice hockey, the Pittsburgh Penguins beat the New York Rangers.
The first news headline was about an explosion. The second one was about a crime. The third was about a strike. The fourth was about a death. And the last one was about a hockey game.
Now, which one of these words do you think are from each story? For example, the explosion story. Which one of these words are related to an explosion story? For example, injured. Pause the video, match these vocabularies with those headlines, and then we will check them with each other. cameras. This word can be related to a crime. Picasso, also a crime. Thieves. The singular form is thief, T-H-I-E-F. The plural form thieves به معنی دزد. مفردش میشه thief، جمعش میشه thieves، دزدان. Guard, security guard. Theft. Theft is the action. Thief is the person. Theft is the action. Theft یعنی دزدی. Closed. Higher pay can be about a strike. Higher pay means more salary. Protesting. اعتراض کردن. Cancer can be about a death. سرطان. Ex-wife. Whenever you use ex, you are referring to something that happened in the past. For example, ex-wife means همسر سابق or ex-husband. Ex-colleague, همکار سابق. Halftime, a hockey game. Halftime is the time between the two parts of a game. نیمه. Goals. Beat. Beat is a verb به معنی شکست دادن. Now, first I want you to read these questions and complete them with a correct WH word. For example, was injured, we want to ask, who was injured? چه کسی صدمه دیده بود، آسیب دیده بود؟ 2. Whose paintings did they steal? Of course, you can also say like, which paintings did they steal? How many paintings did they steal? These are also possible. نقاشی های کیو دزدیدن، چند تا دزدیدن، کدوم نقاشی ها رو دزدیدن، تمام این WH ها اینجا اوکی هن. 3. Why were they on strike? 4. How many times was he married? 5. What was the score? Now let's listen to the complete news of the news headlines that we just talked about and answer these questions.
Track 40.
A gas leak was the cause of an explosion in Manhattan yesterday morning, killing 8 people who were living in a nearby apartment building and injuring many more. Most of those injured were people who were walking to work or going to school in the early morning hours. Officials say the gas company is investigating the explosion. Last night, thieves in New York broke into the Museum of Modern Art and escaped with 3 paintings by Picasso valued at $80 million. Cameras were recording the rooms at the time, but the guard who was watching the screen saw nothing. Museum officials didn't discover the theft until the next morning. A national strike in France yesterday brought the country to a complete stop. Offices, banks, schools, and stores all closed, and there were no trains or buses throughout the whole country. Workers were protesting for higher pay, longer vacations, and a shorter working week. The actor James Robertson died last night at his home in Hollywood, California. He was suffering from cancer. With him were his 5 children, his ex-wife, and his second wife, Sherry. The 71-year-old actor is best known for his role as the cowboy Dexter in Mad Men of the West. And finally, sports. The Pittsburgh Penguins last night beat the New York Rangers 2-1. At halftime, the Rangers were winning 1-0, but then 2 goals by Sidney Crosby gave the Penguins a win.
Now let's check our answers. Who was injured?
People who were walking to work or school.
Whose paintings did they steal?
Picasso's paintings.
Why were they on strike?
They wanted higher pay, longer vacation, and shorter working week.
How many times was he married?
Twice.
What was the score?
2-1.
Now we are going to read about a true story, a real, unbelievable story. The flight attendant who lost his cool. Lose your cool. It means to lose your control, become really angry. The picture you see now in the background is a person called Steven Slater. He was a flight attendant. Now let's see what happened to him. Look at these pictures. This is the story about the flight attendant Steven Slater. What do you think made him lose his cool? Why did he lost his control? Okay, now let's read this story, the first part of this story, and answer these 5 questions. Pause the video, answer the questions, then we will check them with each other.
One. When and where did the incident happen?
The incident happened at New York's JFK Airport on the 10th of August.
2. What did the female passenger do?
The passenger stood up to get her luggage.
3. What did the Steven Slater say to her?
Steven told her to sit down.
4. What did she do to him? How did he react?
The businesswoman didn't listen to him. She was taking her suitcase out of the overhead bin when it hit Mr. Slater on the head.
5. How did Steven Slater leave the plane?
He lost his temper, marched to the front of the cabin and spoke furiously over the plane's PA system saying, "That's enough. After 28 years in this business, I quit." He then took 2 drinks from a refrigerator, opened the door, activated the plane's emergency chute, and jumped onto it. Mr. Slater then ran to his car and drove home. خب داستان تا اینجای کار از این قرار بود که توی فرودگاه جان اف کندی 10 آگوست یه پروازی میشینه و همیشه خب اینو توی پروازها دیدین که همین که پرواز میشینه خیلی از مسافرها بلند میشن تا وسایلشون رو از اون اوورهد بین، یعنی اون محفظه هایی که بالای سرشون هستش، بردارن و همیشه فلایت اتندنت ها یا همون مهماندارا بهمون میگن که بشینید تا توقف کامل هواپیما و بعد میتونید وسایلتون رو بردارید. اینجا دقت کنید میگه که as the Airbus A320 was taxiing slowly on the runway. این تاکسی کردن یه لغت تخصصی اینجا به معنی هستش که وقتی هواپیما میشینه و از زمانی که فرود میاد تا وقتی برسه اونجایی که مسافرها میخوان پیاده شن روی باند فرود راه میره، رانندگی میکنه، یعنی دیگه پروازی در کار نیست. به این اصطلاح میگن تاکسی کردن. خب حالا اتفاقی که میفته این آقای سلیتر به همه میگه که خب بشینید، اما یه خانومی بوده اینجا، یه بیزنس وومنی که بلند میشه و میخواد که چمدونش رو از اون محفظه برداره و متاسفانه به حرف استیون گوش نمیده، در حالی که داشته چمدونش رو برمیداشته. When she was taking her suitcase این چمدون به سر آقای سلیتر برخورد میکنه. It hit Mr. Slater on the head. He started bleeding. bleed فعل به معنی خونریزی کردن هستش. سرش شروع به خونریزی کردن میکنه و در نهایت he lost his temper و یا he lost his cool، یعنی کنترلش رو از دست میده و عصبانی میشه. میره به سمت جلوی هواپیما. furiously به معنی خیلی خیلی عصبانی هستش. با حالت خیلی عصبانی از اون وسیله‌ای که مهماندارا دارن که صداشون تو کل هواپیما پخش میشه، اون PA سیستم، شروع به صحبت کردن میکنه و میگه که دیگه بسمه. 28 ساله که تو این بیزنس بودم و الان I quit. quit به معنی استعفا دادن. من استعفا میدم. بعدش هم میره 2 تا شیشه مشروب از توی یخچال هواپیما برمیداره. اکتیویت کردن به معنی فعال کردن و فعال سازی هستش. اون در خروج اضطراری هواپیما رو که هستش فعال میکنه و میپره ازش بیرون، میدوه سمت ماشینش و رانندگی میکنه، میره خونه. البته که police arrested Mr. Slater at his home a short time later. توی فاصله خیلی کوتاهی بعد از اون هم پلیس توی خونهش دستگیرش میکنه. و اما اینکه ادامه داستان چی میشه؟ And what's gonna happen to Mr. Slater؟ یعنی چه اتفاقی قراره براش بیفته؟ بریم سراغ ویدیوی بعد.